Hey everyone, how you doing? This is Amon Green, Green Bay Packers all-time leading rusher, and you're watching Packers Total Access Live, your daily source for Packer content. Go Pack, go!
What's up, guys? Welcome into Packers Total Access. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on packernet.com. Find me on Twitter at Packers_access. Joined alongside Tim in Green Bay. We're here to talk a little Green Bay Packers, and we got some juicy man drama going on in the National Football League. We're going to talk about Micah Parsons firing shots back at the Dallas Cowboys. You got some Twitter folks in the Cowboys sphere, I guess you could say, talking crap about Micah. And then Dez Bryant actually interjected himself into the conversation. If someone were to say, well, Dez Bryant's comment on, I'd think he's probably defending the Cowboys. Actually, the opposite. So we're going to dive into all that, as well as Mina Kimes reacting to Malik Willis, kind of talking about Malik Willis potentially hitting free agency and how he's played, and really interesting perspective there in terms of just maybe how much money he'll garner. We'll look at the free agent market a little bit, just kind of give us an idea to set the stage as we go into the season. If you're wondering, why aren't you previewing the Vikings game? Why aren't you talking about this? Might as well be a preseason game. We've got pretty much all but confirmation. Not going to have a whole lot of players playing in that game. Going to have several starters sitting out and kind of getting ready for the playoffs. Not that we won't cover it. We'll still dive into it a little later. But, again, this stuff kind of popped up, and I thought it'd be a fun little conversation to have. Before we get into it, if you would, do that YouTube stuff. Hit like, hit subscribe. If this is your first time tuning into PTA, welcome. Thank you for making us a part of your day. We're not experts. We're not insiders. We're not media members. We're fans just like you, talking Packers on a daily basis. So if you were looking for that type of content, make sure you hit like, subscribe, and click that bell icon so you know every time we go live like this. We got a couple people in the chat here, Tim. Packer Moto fan says, pumped to catch one of these live. Thank the Lord for winter break. I appreciate you making us a part of your winter break, man. Nice. And then, of course, Chase Brown, 6156, getting ahead of his skis there, says, thank you, Jerry. And I love Coach Lynn says, actually, thank you, Jerry, twice. So
the favor's so nice, he did it twice. Thank you.
Exactly. All right. So let's dive into it. We put a little article together, not really an article, just a compilation of a bunch of tweets and stuff that's going on social media. We threw it on our Patreon group. You guys can check it out, patreon.com/Packer Fan Total Access. It's the best way to kind of keep up with the show. And also, it's the best way to support the show. So if you're, hey, man, I like this. I don't want this YouTube channel to go away. Join the Patreon group. $3 get you access to everything. We're gonna have a ton of draft coverage in there. Also, the chats are awesome, so you guys and gals can kind of communicate back and forth. We also have a direct message line straight to me, so you can DM me there as well. So Micah Parsons blasts Jerry Jones of Cowboys over the disrespect, plus Dez Bryant responds. Let's start and kind of set the stage here, okay, for leading up to this little exchange that Micah Parsons had on social media about the Dallas Cowboys and kind of handle how they're doing business down there in the Big D. So obviously Micah is looking to have surgery. Before he had his surgery, I think this happened before the surgery, right? Eric Upton on Twitter, shout out to him, actually tweeted this out and said, how cool is this? Micah Parsons spent time with kids from the Salvation Army of the Greater Green Bay at Lambeau Field during the game on Saturday night. Salvation Army of Greater Green Bay obviously tagged there, or they had the photo cred. And you can see Micah was just out kind of hanging out with the kids, went to the game while that knee was strengthening a little bit enough to go and obviously have the surgery for the ACL. That was leading up to this. And then, of course, after the surgery, Micah tweets out, today went amazing LFG, right? So, again, kind of minding his own business, doing his thing. Well, he obviously reacts to the Stefon Diggs signing here, Tim, with Green Bay. And all he said was, we're back with the salute emoji. So he's fired up to have one of his best friends on the Green Bay Packers. We've broken that down pretty extensively. If you guys want to know how we feel, what the analytics say, what the PFF grades say, what the stats say, we took it all the way back to his high school scouting report. If you want to know anything you need to know about Trevon Diggs, the newest Green Bay Packer, you can check that video out here. Just click on the videos tab and you'll see it down there probably within the last 5 or 10 videos. We've been turning out a lot of content. So just like with the Micah Parsons thing here, Tim, what ends up happening is all of a sudden Cowboy fans and Cowboy media, they just think Trevon Diggs, his brother, is a horrible football player, right? Now, we've been vocal about this. He did not play good football this year, right? We talked about it. Will we get the all-pro version of Trevon Diggs, or will we get the 2025 version of Trevon Diggs? Time will tell, right? The beautiful thing is it's a very, very, very what am I trying to say here? There is really no risk at all. It's a very risk-free move for the Packers, right? There's no
upside, very little downside, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So with that being said, though, it is funny how Cowboys fans love these players until the second they're not on the Cowboys. Now all of a sudden they're bums, right? And listen, that drives me crazy with the Packer fan base. There's a very minute amount of them, but you love a player, and then when they're gone, all of a sudden you want to dog them, right? I get that. This went to a little bit different level. So this Dan Rogers guy over on X at Danny Phantom 24 just tweeted out Trevon Diggs grades per Pro Football Focus. And you could tell that they're kind of piling on. Everybody's starting to pile on and dog Trevon Diggs, right? That all of a sudden he's a bad football player. So Micah Parsons actually quote tweeted him and said, I feel like what point is there in trying to publicly disrespect someone? He's not representing the star anymore. Just give the man a farewell and wish him the best. I don't know why everything has to be negative every time a breakup happens. He's in a better situation right now. Trust me. Bro's going to be great again. So again, we kind of talk about this all the time. It's like, you'll notice on Twitter, I usually don't dog people. I don't like go in on people because I've got a rule. If I wouldn't say it to somebody's face, I'm not going to say it on social media. I'm not going to say it on the YouTube channel. Right. And it's just the way it is. It's one of those things that I think it's really, really cowardly to talk a big game on social media, and then when you're out in public, you're at Lambeau, you're wherever, you see somebody face to face, all of a sudden now, no, well, that's my social media persona. No, that's weird. That is my mental illness, in my opinion, that someone approaches life that way. So with that being said, we move along here. Micah claps back. So after the fans started coming at him in those comments and everything, right after he defended Trevon Diggs, he tweets this out from Clarence Hill Jr., who covers the Packers. Tweeted out, Cowboys DC Matt Eberflus, you guys know he used to be the head coach for the Chicago Bears, admitted things changed for the defense when they lost an all-pro pass rusher who can win quick, but you can't look back. So literally their coaching staff, Tim, is acknowledging that, yeah, this is way, way more difficult after we lost Micah Parsons. Now, you guys will remember when they cut loose on Micah Parsons, what did Cowboy fans and Cowboys media say?
He can't play the run. Your run defense is going to suffer.
Bingo. All of a sudden, everything flipped. So Micah just quote tweeted this guy and just put 1,000 laughing emojis, right? So again, they're kind of burying themselves here, and Micah's just along for the ride. Next, he says in his tweet, y'all want me to feel bad? Jerry Jones slandered my name to the Cowboys media and national media for months. So I do think I can react to comment if I want to, respectfully, because people automatically attacked him in the responses, in the replies and the tweets, right? They attacked him. And then when he responded, they're like, well, why are you even worried about this? You're a Packer now. You're a Packer now. Yeah. I don't know, because y'all are running your mouth, and maybe he wants to defend himself, right? Maybe it has something to do with it. So I love that. Y'all want me to feel bad. Like you should feel bad for the way that you left Dallas. Jerry Jones slandered my name to the Cowboys media and national media for months. So I do think I can react to comment if I want. And again, Tim, that whole contract negotiation, we talked about that, right, pretty extensively. Yeah. It was very, very, very weird that Jerry Jones tried to negotiate and navigate around the agents and try to get Micah to kind of negotiate his own contract, right? Yeah. This isn't the first time this has happened. This is something that's happened over and over and over in Dallas. Jerry tries to do business kind of on his own terms. And I want to be very clear here. I think Jerry Jones is great for the National Football League. This dude is just a constant soap opera down there in the Big D. I think it's great for the NFL. I'm just glad it's not in Green Bay, Tim. What's your take on this so far? And is that how you're remembering those contract negotiations breaking down, where Jerry was trying to strong arm Micah into doing something he didn't want to?
Yeah, I do. And I think you're right. It's a little weird by, today's, NFL standards, with the CBA and how everything's supposed to go when you're negotiating a deal. Especially someone who's on your roster and you're trying to keep them around. But we all know Jerry, right? Jerry's going to do what Jerry does. And it doesn't surprise me at all that was the way that he handled it, for sure. And honestly, the way that Cowboys fans are behaving throughout this whole process, be it Micah or Trevon Diggs coming here, doesn't surprise me. Like Micah said, that's what they do. That's how you represent the star, apparently. And it's unfortunate. Makes me feel grateful to be a Packer fan, right?
Oh, God, it does. And how many times have we heard as a publicly owned franchise, the only publicly owned franchise in sports history, right? Or at least currently, there may have been one at some point for a brief moment of time. But they say, well, that's why you need an owner. That's why you need an owner. No, we don't need an owner. We're just fine the way we're structured, so you ain't got to deal with this crap, right? Coach Lynn says Diggs did not want to be there. His play reflected that, in my opinion. I agree, Coach. It wasn't playing inspired. They traded his best friend. They kind of did his best friend dirty right in the middle of the limelight of everything, showing how they were trying to dog him in the negotiations and then pissing off his agent. And just it got very, very public. And that was Jerry
planting rumors in the media about Micah in his back, or Micah, didn't want to show up to OTAs and just drama.
And with Diggs not wanting to be there, Tim, why did he not want to be there? Well, first of all, let's go back and think about what happened there. They finished that game before their Christmas break, right? And he asked, "Can I stay in Washington? My family's here. Can I just stay here? Because all that's going to happen is," well, he said, "Do you guys mind if I stay here while y'all fly back?" They said no. And he said, "Well, the reason I want to is I'm literally just going to turn right around and get on another plane back out here. Like, I would fly home with the team and then get on a plane and fly back out." Now, listen, I've made my opinion clear here. I understand where Coach Schottenheimer's coming from. Like, if you're trying to change the culture in Dallas, it's like, no, listen, Diggs, we need you on that plane. I can't break protocol just for one player. That's not the message I want to send to the rest of my team. I get that. The problem is that's not what's going on up top. You guys remember the report that came out? I think it was on the McAfee show. They said, what's wrong with the culture in Dallas? And someone had said, a former player said that they were charging fans to take a tour of their facility, just like we do Lambeau Field in the locker room when the players aren't in there, right? Because you guys know, if you've ever taken a tour on a game day weekend, they won't let you in the locker room because players are in and out. They navigate around that. Well, what Jerry was doing, players said they were in the weight room lifting weights, working out, trying to be focused on their craft, their profession, and that literally there would be
fans walking by looking at them.
Yeah,
like
by a glass
zoo
window.
Animals or something. Like,
exactly.
What is that?
Yeah, walking by a glass window, staring in at them, watching them work, standing there for a few minutes, watching them work out, and the players are like, "This is weird." And again, that's the message that you're sending to your team. So that's why I push back a little bit on. I hate it for Schottenheimer, but Tim, this has happened with every head coach that's come through Dallas since Jerry Jones took over. When he took over, he fired Tom Landry. And I'm not saying that shouldn't have happened. Tom Landry was kind of, he'd been in the league for quite some time. He fired Tom Landry. He hires his old college teammate and friend, Jimmy Johnson. They win 2 Super Bowls, right? Or however many. Well, I think they won 2 together. And all of a sudden, he couldn't handle his ego with Jimmy Johnson, so he fires Jimmy Johnson. Then he he brings in
Barry Switzer,
the old Oklahoma coach, right? Brings him in. That thing fell apart. They won a Super Bowl, and then it fell apart as quick as that Super Bowl surfaced because Troy Aikman could not stand. He's been very vocal. If you guys go watch Troy Aikman, A Football Life, it'll tell you everything you need to know about that whole era of the Dallas Cowboys. He was the only one that was demanding excellence. The coaches didn't care. The assistant coaches didn't care. Jerry was running around with the owner of Nike, and everything was just business. It wasn't about football, right? And then, of course, he moves on from him. You guys remember early 2000s, what did he do? The 2000s, not the 2010s, right? So he goes and hires Bill Parcells, and everybody went, how's this going to work? Bill Parcells got him immediately to the playoffs, and then that fell apart because him and Jerry Jones couldn't get along, right? So then he goes and gets a yes man. The next one I remember Wade Phillips being there for a short amount of time, right? And then he goes and gets Troy's old backup, Jason Garrett, who was just a yes man. They couldn't sniff a Super Bowl, right?
Nope.
So now that's
prime Tony Romo. They couldn't sniff a Super Bowl,
right? And again, that's what happens when the culture is bad in the organization. It's a long-winded way of getting to the point, but that's why I push back a little bit on that. Well, no, we can't let you stay here with your family, even though you're going to turn around and fly back out, because we're a serious organization, and all that crap is going on behind the scenes, right? It starts at the top for sure. So, and then, of course, number one Packer fan says, did you see what Des Bryant said about it? I'm glad you brung that up, sir.
Yes, sir.
We are on the same page here, my friend. So
Des didn't drop this one.
Yeah. So we'll come back to the run defense. Don't let me forget, Tim. So I said Des Bryant has entered the chat. All right. So when Dez Bryant first tweeted, I went, oh, he's going to defend the Cowboys. It's one of those things that I don't know if him and Jerry are real close, but I feel like they were close when he played there. And most of the players are close with Jerry. That's part of the problem, too, is the owner wants to be friends with all the players, right? And rub shoulders with them, feel like he's a part of the team. So this is what Dez Bryant said on Twitter. This is where my hate for the Cowboys comes in. I was like, whoa, as soon as I read that. By the way, I bleed blue with passion. You media guys are on Jerry's payroll in some form or fashion to be speaking this way. Now I'm going to hit pause there for a second. Earlier this year in the offseason, Jerry Jones got into it with 2 radio hosts and basically alluded to that. He's basically hinting at, like, I could fire your ass right now if I wanted to. He didn't say it without saying it because they were pushing back on something he did. Okay. So with that being said, that's what he's referring to here. Micah should not have been negotiating with Jerry, even if they agreed to anything. The majority of us athletes are uneducated when it comes to negotiating a contract. You know this. We athletes are ignorant to certain things that are supposed to help us. This machine is built to capitalize off our ignorance. But as soon as we get educated a tad bit, the blackmailing, the poopy I'm talking about, just wish them well, and that's it. Some of us learn and don't lose ourselves, thankfully. And he was quote tweeting someone who said, why didn't you tell everyone how you tried to play agent only to back out after Jerry, to your terms? Did you not initiate talks with him only to cry victim so your agent didn't think you acted without him? So they're painting this picture like it was actually, they being the fan base and the Dallas media, they're painting a picture that Micah was the one who initiated the contract conversation with Jerry Jones. And we all know that's BS from the get-go, right? So now, Dez Bryant went on to say, quote, tweeting Derek Jefferson on Twitter. Derek Jefferson said from Jerry's interview with Stephen A. Smith, which Stephen A. Smith and Jerry are like really, really good buddies, even though Stephen A. Smith likes to troll on the Cowboys. So this is like as biased as it comes. Micah flew to Jerry and Stephen while in Indy to initiate the talks. Folks have to take accountability for their actions. Jerry didn't pay for him to come. He came on his own dime. What's Jerry supposed to do? And then Dez Bryant said Micah's representative stepped in because he knows his client is not equipped with the knowledge to sit there and negotiate a contract with Jerry. Jerry knows that. We only know what we know. For example, I remember going through the same situation with Jerry. Again, this is Dez Bryant. I remember going through the same situation with Jerry, and I stopped him and literally pointed to the field and asked if he could cover me. Jerry's response was, no, you would destroy me. Then I asked, so what makes you think I can sit here and negotiate a contract with you? By the way, I fired my representation literally before I walked into the meeting. By the way, that's another story within itself. So Dez Bryant is literally telling Derek Jefferson, who I'm sure he hasn't ever negotiated a contract with Jerry Jones, that, hey, Jerry tried to pull this stunt with me too, right? So again, just something else to add to the conversation. So, Tim, anything else you want to add before I just point out the run defense? Because we were told, well, just another example of how the Dallas sports media and the Dallas Cowboy fans immediately said, oh, the defense will be better without Micah. He's a horrible run defender. But anything else you want to add here? Well,
they're all in bed with each other, like you said. This is an owner who, every team has media members that do, radio and television for their organization. But I hate to use the word dictator, but it's Jerry's way or the highway in Dallas. And I think when you look at, all of the other teams in the NFL that have ownership, the best owners are the ones who they focus on the business. And when it comes to football and player personnel and football operations, they stay the hell out of the way and they put good people in there to manage their team. I think Dallas might be the exception right here. And, the writing's on the wall. You can see that for sure.
Yeah. Packer Doug says, OMG, so Jerry did this to multiple players. Unreal. Exactly, right? And that was the whole point of bringing up the Dez. Because, again, when I seen Dez Bryant tweet, I went, oh, he's about to I immediately thought, Micah, don't take the bait on this. If he tries to trigger you, don't get into it with him. Let's don't make this bigger than it needs to be, But then I seen him go after Jerry and the Cowboys. Oh, this is getting good. Lord have mercy. So, exactly. And then Coach Lynn says Jerry also pushed the narrative about Parsons' bad back. Remember, we were told, oh boy, he fleeced the Packers because Micah's got a serious back injury.
And for some reason, we never heard anything about tampering. Right. I mean, is that not tampering?
You would think so, right?
Yeah.
So, all right. So now the run defense, back to that question, right? I said Dallas run defense was supposed to improve post Micah. You guys remember that talk? Like, oh yeah, they're going to get Kenny Clark now, and and Jerry said in his presser, we need a run defender, right? We need to stop the run, and Micah didn't help with that. That's what he said, right? Well, look at this, boys. End of the year here. Dallas is 27th in run defense, allowing 4.7 yards per carry. All right. Now, if you're going, okay, well, what have they been doing lately, Clayton? Actually worse. The last 3 games, 4.8 yards per carry that they've allowed. So, again, the run defense got worse. Well, what about the overall defense, Clayton? I'm glad you asked. When you go to scoring defense, points per play allowed, Dallas is dead last in the National Football League at 0.490 points per play allowed. So,
yikes.
How many things got reported here that was inaccurate, right? Jerry tried to say that he had a deal with Micah and Micah's representation, and the agent backed out. There was no agreement there between the representation. It was him trying to strong arm Micah into doing a contract, right? What else is a lie? The back injury was a lie. At least was he? Yes, there was a back injury, but for them to paint this picture like, oh my gosh, this is career threatening or what have you, that was a lie.
They were leaking all those photos of Micah on the training table, like stretching, and then trying to make it look like it was catastrophic. Yeah.
All kinds of stuff. So you got those 2 lies, right? And then, of course, it's, well, he's bad. He takes plays off. Did we see him take a play off this year, guys? Was there any time he was on the field that you went, oh, he didn't go 100% there? If anything, he shredded his knee going 125%, right? So that was a lie. His run defense being bad. Ask Brian Baldinger, who broke it down. He literally lined up as a defensive tackle that last game and got a 4th down run stop, if I remember correctly. It was either a 3rd down or a 4th down run stop, taking on a double team, playing a 3-tech at defensive tackle. His run defense is fine. That was a lie. He was going to be a locker room, his teammates don't like him and this and that. Trevon Diggs literally came across the country to play with him. And
look at the reaction of this locker room when Micah got to Green Bay.
Right.
And how excited they were and how he fit right in right away with what the culture was and that locker room energy right away. So that's, of course, is a total lie as well, that he's a bad locker room guy. We haven't seen that at all.
And to put a big bowl on this thing, what happened with Trevon Diggs when he got here? He met with the media yesterday. Trevon Diggs said, yeah, I'm just glad to have a new, fresh start in a different place, and I would love to make this long-term is essentially what he said, right? So it just – when I heard him speak, Tim, I said this yesterday, I expected someone cocky. I expected someone arrogant, like, okay, let's hope he comes in with the right attitude and maybe he'll tone it down, because I'd never heard him talk or anything. Dude, he sounded so humble and so well-spoken. I was like, this dude sounds extremely intelligent, and he's not about ego. Usually those cornerbacks, you got to have a chip on your shoulder, right? You got to kind of, I'm the best there is. I'm the best there is. I'm the best there is. And I'm sure he's confident in his ability, but I don't know. He just impressed the hell out of me hearing him talk yesterday. I think he's going to be a good fit. I hope he plays well, so they bring him back next year and possibly the year after that at a decent cap hit, to be honest with you. But we'll see how it goes. But anything else?
I'm the first one to say that, I think Trevon Diggs is a really good corner. I don't think he's great. Is he capable of being great? Obviously, we can look at, how he looked before the injury. So I say that to say this: never underestimate a change of scenery, especially when your change of scenery is from, Big D over to Titletown. It's like night and day. And I'm sure he's poised for a resurgent. And if he can help us, close out this year and make a playoff run, looks good, stays healthy. We haven't seen him in a Jeff Hafley scheme yet. This will be interesting. I'm all for it. There's no reason to believe that, he couldn't have a resurgence here in his career in Green Bay.
Yeah, completely agree. Packer Doug says, Clay and Tim, do you think Diggs and X playing together at Bama creates a chemistry that can carry over here? Absolutely. You've seen them in practice yesterday running drills together.
Yep.
And that's the thing too. It's not just Xavier McKinney and Trevon Diggs. It's also their secondary. Yeah, their secondary coach at Bama was Derek Ansley, who's the coach here now. He helped recruit Xavier McKinney in free agency, if you'll remember. Also, Josh Jacobs is a Bama boy, right? So you got a bunch of things kind of coming into play here, in my opinion. And again, I think that'll be huge for Diggs. He looks up front and he's got his boy Micah, his best friend, rushing the passer. He looks behind him. Who's got his back playing safety? It's going to be his former college teammate, Xavier McKinney. And then when someone has to get on his ass because he played bad technique or had a bad play, he's not going to take offense to it because that's DA. I've known him since I was a kid coming out of high school.
Yep.
Right? So huge.
And that was one thing we talked about with Coach Ansley when we first got him, was his ability to connect with these players and communicate and relate to these players. Like you want coaches like that on your staff, where these players are willing to lay down in front of a train for their coach, and they know that their coach has their back. It's a mutual respect thing, and it's growth. You see Coach Ansley growing, as a coach and coordinator, probably going to be vying for a defensive coordinator position in the near future. And then you see these young DBs that step up and their career enhances behind him. So it's kind of, a good back and forth right here. It's multiple connections with these DBs and our coaches.
Yeah. He says, don't forget Ansley was the coach who switched him from wide receiver to cornerback. Another great point. And then Joseph says, he also said Micah spoke very highly of the environment here. These other organizations can be quite toxic for the culture at the top. As I'm reading that, I think Cowboys, I think Jets, especially the Jets, they say that organization is just
dumpster fire.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a reason that they continue to struggle. And again, nobody cares what you know until they know that you care. And that's why it's important building a team and not collecting talent. As we always say, that's a Bill Belichick quote. We're building a team, not collecting talent. You're wanting to put together the best team on the field, not a group of individuals who have a ton of talent, and that's it. They got to be willing to play for each other, sacrifice for each other. So I just think it was a fun little conversation. Watching that whole thing unfold yesterday while I was chilling here at the house, I was like, man, I was trying to steer clear of it because you guys know we break down tape. We talk X's and O's. We project the roster out and the contracts. And I usually don't get into the man drama stuff, but I was like, man, I really like Micah's stance that he took here defending Trevon. And obviously I think this is going to be I don't think it'll be a bad move. I don't see a scenario where you pay somebody less than $500,000 for a couple of games, or if you go on a playoff run and it be a bad move with zero risk whatsoever. Yeah. You don't have to give up a pick for him. There's no dead cap attached. It's just, all right, if he works out, great. You get him back next year for, I think it's a $15 million cap hit if you want it. If not, cut bait. No guarantees there. So I think it's a good move. But I'm curious to know what everybody thinks in the comments. If you're watching this video back later, let us know. How do you feel about the Micah Parsons versus Jerry Jones / Dallas Cowboy sports media / fan base / anybody else that wants to try to dog a player that's no longer wearing the star? We want to hear from you in the comments. Make sure you hit like, subscribe, and click the bell icon so you're notified when we do go live in the near future. All right, Tim, one other thing I want to hit real quick, man, is I was just scrolling through Twitter earlier today, and I noticed this video from Mina Kimes. And if you guys don't know who Mina Kimes is, awesome football mind. I love following her, like on YouTube and things like that, and getting her takes. And there is a portion of the male fan base that goes at her like she don't know what she's talking about. Nobody's perfect, right? There's not a guy covering the sport of football that's going to get everything right. So I'm sure you can find stuff she's gotten wrong, as well as me and anyone else who covers the game, right? But I really think that she brings a level-headed approach. I think she tries to break it down with the tape. I think she tries to use analytics. She brings a very, very educated approach when it comes to covering the game of football. So what we're going to do is play this audio clip. This is from the Malik Willis situation, okay? And what I mean by that is, obviously Malik Willis, we see him every week, right? We've heard about him, in practice. We've heard about all this stuff, right? And how he's performed all year long. We see how good he is. The world just got to see it on the national stage the other night, right? So now they're going, okay, this dude is set to hit free agency. This might be one of the top free agent not prospects, but free agent available players to sign this offseason. So I think it's important to hear other people kind of break down how they feel about Malik Willis. This was Mina Kimes on the Mina Kimes show, okay? And I'm not sure who her co-host is here, but they're just having a conversation about Malik Willis. Let's see, outside of our little sphere here, how the rest of the world feels about Malik Willis and how he's been playing this year.
Hit the deep balls, and it's a recurring theme. It feels like for young quarterbacks who play well, it's the combination of, I don't want to say elite athleticism because there's like Josh Allen level of athleticism, but it's a combination of like super high end.
I think he's an elite athlete. I'm going back and watching some of his runs. Holy smokes, he is a great scrambler.
The combination of that elite athleticism and the deep ball accuracy, it's so impressive. And for him to come from where he came at Tennessee, you look at those stats, you look at those games, to what he did in this game against the Ravens. Of course, they lost in the game, but like he felt like almost perfect.
What do you think?
And he was. I mean, he truly was almost perfect. Like it was what he have 2 incompletions. And I love that they point out it's one thing to have elite athleticism. It's another thing to have elite athleticism and you can throw the deep ball accuracy, right? And Matt LaFleur was very vocal the other day in saying there's not a throw on the field that Malik Willis can't make. So again, if you're a team needing a quarterback, you got to be looking up going, all right, what does he do well? What does he not do well? What does Malik Willis not do well based off what we've seen in the last 2 years, Tim? If you had to name something, what would it be? What would you say?
He's not really good at sucking.
There you go.
He's really good at doing the opposite of being terrible.
Right. And the only negative thing that you would have that would make you a little bit complacent, a little bit worried about signing him in free agency is it's a small sample size. He looked bad in Tennessee, which, let's be honest, every quarterback in the last decade and a half, it feels like, has looked bad in Tennessee. It's kind of like the Jets, right?
Yep.
What happened with Sam Darnold? He was with the Jets for, 3 or 4 years, and then he leaves and then bounced around a little bit, gets a shot in Minnesota, dominated. Now he's up in Seattle, and they're arguably the best team in the NFC. So let's continue.
Think about what are teams getting in him potentially, and how do you build an offense around him? I think you hit on what makes him so exciting, which is because of his rushing threat and what he adds to. Defenses are very frightened of it. And you get that Eagles thing where he gets a lot of single high and then he can kill you outside the numbers. In the game against the Ravens, they played single high and close to 60%. You're telling you have to stop the run, obviously.
Single high, obviously, meaning single high safety. You're either in a cover 3 or a cover 1 look. I'm imagining the numbers she's talking about are post snap. This is end result. It's single high coverage, not just a single high pre-snap sugar. They may have started in a shell, but they ended with a single high look, which means you're buzzing a safety into the box to help stop the run. And like she says, how do you beat that? You need to be able to attack outside of the numbers. Not every quarterback in the league can attack outside of the numbers because their arm isn't strong enough or accurate at different levels, the median line, and then obviously the deep passes. So.
And versus single high, he went 11 for 12 for 177 yards.
Again, when you're 11 of 12 for 177 yards against single high, when scouts are looking for potential free agents, potential prospects in college football, that's one of the key numbers they're looking at because that tells you, Tim, they are consistently distributing the ball outside of the numbers. They don't have to just live in the middle of the field.
Yep.
People used to hate that Rodgers didn't go over the middle of the field often. Do you know why he didn't? Because that's where the majority of the defense was.
Yeah.
And
middle field closed. Yeah.
That's a harder throw to make, Tim, outside of the numbers. So you're increasing your odds, your chances of taking away the middle of the field, which is why when I talk about positions of tier 1 importance, what do I say? 3 tech, right in the middle of the defense. Mike backer, right in the middle of the defense. Post safety, right in the middle of the defense, and try to force him to make those low percentage throws. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Absolutely.
All right.
That said, I've been really impressed too by some of the throws he makes between the numbers. Throws a beautiful go ball. We've seen that. We saw it last year to Watson where he hit it was like a seam ball versus he split the safeties.
You guys remember that? They went split safety and Malik said, okay, yeah, I'll just hum that Taylor, feather it right down the seam for 6 to Watson. I love that Watson caught that ball and said, when he caught it, Tim, I thought, all right, we're going to be setting up a 1st and goal here. That's immediately what I thought. He turned on the burners and just ran through 2 defenders at the goal line. It was awesome.
He's a grown-ass man now. And
that is right, Coach.
That was a beautiful throw. He is primarily throwing outside the numbers at this point, but there's enough there between the athleticism and the accuracy throwing downfield and the continued development he's shown as a passer for a team to be intrigued by what he's put on tape. I'm not saying perfect or whatever, but there's definitely enough there. I would love to see him on a team that can run the football because think about that and just what we were talking about in terms of the math. Dolphins, Jets, Browns, Steelers, Colts, Raiders, Vikings? Question.
So how many was that? 6 or 7 teams she just named off?
Don't forget the Cardinals.
We want there to be 31 teams pursuing him is what we want, right? That's
better
what
comp pick, right?
Yeah. That and More money for Malik. I love that dude, man. Yeah,
Yeah.
you talking about you can't find a better guy.
Talk about someone who deserves to get the bag for sure.
And listen, if I have my way, selfishly as a fan, and I feel grimy saying this, I really do. I would want no one to pursue him, Tim, and we get him back for a minimum contract. That'd be great for the Packers.
Yeah, 3-year deal.
That's not realistic, and that's not what's great for him. Now, if the number falls somewhere around 10 million, 12 million, I'm going, I think that's money well spent, boys. Guarantee a good chunk of it. Tack on some voidable years so it don't hurt your cap hit in this 3-year window, and keep the train moving.
To mark Cardinals and then Rams if Matthew Stafford retires.
Could you imagine Sean McVay with Malik Willis, who just showed he can run Sean McVay's offense? That's what Matt LaFleur runs, essentially. That sounds like the perfect fit right there. My goodness, man.
I like the Steelers.
Really?
Because they're not drafting high.
You like it for him or you like it for them?
I think it's a good marriage of what they want to be with their offensive identity.
And that's Arthur. God, what's his name? I can never think of his last name.
The OC over there.
Yeah, he runs a very similar style offense that Matt LaFleur does. Now they play a lot of 12 personnel, but again they like to go under center. And him is it Arthur Smith? Am I thinking
Arthur Smith?
Yeah, I think it is Arthur Smith.
I can picture him right now. He's got the stash.
Oh yeah, he's got the grown ass man stash, man. There's very few people that can wear a mustache and not look like a creeper. He don't look like a creeper with a stash. If you guys see me with a mustache, you'll go, "Oh my god, let me have my children." That's a weird looking dude right there. I don't know how they do it, man. He's got that big old caterpillar on the lip, though, for sure.
Kennedy. What about you? What do you think?
It's a bit of a cop out, but like I go to Minnesota first. Like
that's the one that worries me, Tim. That would suck. KOC got Malik Willis. Oh, it would suck so bad, man.
Yep. In the division, a quarterback that knows how to, a coach that knows how to deal with a good quarterback like that. Yeah, that would not be my first pick.
Forcing me to root against Malik Willis would just be horrible, dude. That would be absolutely horrible. I could root for him with the Rams, unless they play the Packers, but I cannot root for a division rival.
Or the Dolphins, or the Steelers, sure. But Minnesota, oh my goodness, hopefully not.
Yeah, and shout out to Amy Gooding, confirmed it was Arthur Smith there. So we did have that name right. Nice. Coach Lynn in the chat said, imagine Willis with Atlanta and Bijan Robinson. Well, that's scary.
There you go.
That'd be a
like
lot.
Mina Kimes was just saying, there's a team with a run game, right?
Yeah. And you got who is it? Kyle Pitts at tight end, nice big target. Drake London, wide receiver. Some pieces are in place there. Make a lot of sense. So let's continue. I think we're about wrapped up. Just a few more minutes or a few more seconds here.
If I'm taking it from his perspective, it's like, where do I want to go? I'm trying to get to Minnesota as quickly as possible.
All right. Now, why would he do that, right? Why would he go to Minnesota? Justin Jefferson, right? A great young coach in KOC. That's the only place that I could think of, Tim, because obviously Detroit, they've kind of got their quarterback in Goff. The Bears have got their guy in Caleb Williams. Man, I would hate it if he went to the Vikings. That's the only team I can think of where, no, please don't let that happen.
Holding out hope that maybe it's Miami.
Right.
We've talked about Tua maybe being, out of the fold there. And if they're looking for a quarterback, I'm keeping my eyes set on Miami, hopefully for Malik. And they'd probably give him the bag too.
Yeah. Now, when it comes to, in terms of projected market value, this is where it gets really, really weird because there's no market value attached to Malik Willis as it sits. Right there, you see his previous average annual value is $1.2 million. He's going to get paid a lot more than that, right? Now, when you look at the players that they've got enough of a comp on to establish market value, and most of the time, Tim, I'm finding that these numbers are actually low with most positions. Quarterback, it may be the opposite. Maybe they shoot way higher. But the projected market value for Daniel Jones going into free agency, his previous average annual value is $14 million per. His market value, $44.5 million per year is what they're saying Daniel Jones is worth. Now
they're loving that tape from this year.
Right.
First eight weeks before he got injured.
I think that he will not sniff that number. I think it's going to be closer to 20 million personally because of the injury and other things that come into factor, right? Like you said, it wasn't like he did it for a full season, okay? Right. So I think it's going to be significantly lower, but again, these are just projected market values. Aaron Rodgers is set now. His previous average annual value, $13.6 million. His market value, $10.4 million. I think Malik's going to make more than $10 million. That number gives me hope, though, Tim, because if they're saying that Aaron Rodgers and the way he played this year is only worth $10 million, I can see Malik being in that ballpark a little bit more, but maybe not higher than $15 million. So maybe we could get him back if we wanted him. Again, that's a big difference between $44 million for Daniel Jones and $10 million for Aaron Rodgers, right?
I wonder how much of Aaron's comments going into this year were kind of, are having an effect on that market value. Like he's publicly said, I'll pay for 10 million, or I'll play for the, veteran minimum, whatever.
Great point.
And with him all but saying, hey, this is the last hurrah, this is the last ride, maybe that number's there just in case he decides he wants to run it back one more year at age 43. You never know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure, man. So again, the market value, Daniel Jones, $44.5 million per. Aaron Rodgers, $10.4 million per. Russell Wilson, 5.8. Marcus Mariota, 8.6. Zach Wilson is 1.4. Tyrod Taylor, $4 million. Joe Flacco, 5.7. So I'm going to name these off. Who would you rather have as your quarterback? I'm going to name these players off along with Malik Willis. Would you rather have Malik Willis or Joe Flacco, Tim?
Malik Willis.
Agreed. Tyrod Taylor or Malik Willis?
Malik.
Agreed. Zach Wilson.
Stop playing games. You already know the answer.
Marcus Mariota.
Malik.
Russell Wilson.
Oh, my goodness, Malik.
Aaron Rodgers.
Don't you do that to me, Clayton.
Now, here's the thing about this one, right, Tim? Is it 1 year, or are you trying to build a long-term?
If you're building, you're going Malik all day, right?
Absolutely, right. Yeah. Now, if it's let's run it back, try to win a Super Bowl, I'm going with
might go with Mr. Rodgers. Yeah.
Daniel Jones or Malik Willis?
Malik Willis.
Me too.
Yeah. And call me a homer or whatever, but I feel like if Malik had the same amount of reps and the same amount of starts as a Daniel Jones, there'd be no comparison at all. We'd say Malik right away anyway.
Right. So again, what's the point of talking about this? My point is, as we sit here on January 2nd, 2026, Malik Willis, in my opinion, is the top quarterback free agent in the National Football League.
Yep.
That's what we're learning. Unless somebody gets cut, right?
I was just going to say, unless we get a cut, but even then, who's going to get cut that would even compare, right?
I mean, if Matthew Stafford got cut, absolutely, right? Why would they do that? I don't think they're going to do that.
Yeah.
Right? I think it's going to be he's either going to retire or he's coming back, right? Jared Goff, if the Lions surprised us and said, you know what, we're not as close as we thought we were, let's cut bait with Jared Goff and move on. If that's the case, but he just got a big contract. I don't even think that's possible, to be honest with you, man. Matter of fact, I
think Goff's a Detroit Lion until he hangs it up. I think
you're
so.
Probably right, man. That's what that feels like for sure. Like if I were to go to this, that's the first one that comes to mind. Like, okay, would he even be available? Right. If we go to Jared Goff's contract, so the potential out there ain't until 2028. And what that means, guys, is if we take a look at that, so if they were to try to move on next year, his cap hit is $69 million, the dead cap 63. So if they moved on next year, if there's no little chicanery going on in the clauses in terms of the optional aspect of the bonuses and all that, it looks like they could move on from him and free up $6 million next year. And then the next year in 2027, $54.6 million is the cap hit. The dead cap is only 29.2, so they could move on in 2027 a lot easier. That's a lot more appealing in my opinion. But I'm with you, Tim. It kind of feels like the way he played too. Listen, I hate the Detroit Lions, but I feel like Jared Goff played pretty damn good football this year. I mean, he was definitely a top 10 quarterback. He was, in my opinion. So I could be wrong there. I could be in the minority. But with that being said, anything else you want to add to this, Tim, this conversation here about Malik Willis? And do you see it the same way? Is he the best quarterback free agent as it sits right now?
It certainly looks like it right now, like you said, pending anything else happening. And I think Mina Kimes made a great point too, in her bit there, talking about his ability to throw the deep ball and his ability to attack outside the numbers. We're so accustomed to, ever since, we got him here from Tennessee, that, hey, let's run condensed sets, get the ball out quick, RPR, RPO, play action, trust him to hammer that little dig route or hammer that outside throw. this boy can spin the ball down the field 50, 60, 70 yards, no problem. And I think that's something that's separating him from the rest of the guys in that category right now. It's something that a lot of people might have slept on. We're used to seeing Malik run down the field and do it with his feet and, get the ball out quick, but that man can stand in the pocket and deliver the ball down the field too.
Oh yeah, he can. And again, we were a little, even going into this year, I didn't see him as a quarterback like, if you make him stand in the pocket, he can't beat you. This year he's kind of proven, no, he can beat. Now, how much of that's Matt LaFleur? I know there's a portion of the fan base that don't want to give Matt any credit, but boys, I'm telling you, the track record with Matt being, lockstep with the quarterbacks on his team, RG3, rookie of the year when Matt was there. Matt Ryan got completely flipped around and won an MVP when Matt was there. Jared Goff had one of his best statistical years in LA and led them to a Super Bowl appearance when Matt was there. Matt comes to the Green Bay Packers. There were some people that were ready to run Aaron Rodgers out of town. He wins back-to-back MVPs. Okay, let's see him do it without Aaron. Jordan Love, they made the playoffs with Jordan Love at the quarterback helm, had an awesome back half of 2023 where he was the best quarterback in the NFL the back half of 2023. This year, he was an MVP candidate most of the year before the injury piled up a little bit there at the end.
Tupac LaFleur is the common denominator there.
It's true. It's true.
Scared money don't make money.
That's what might, maybe I'm being a little too hopeful here, that might drive a little bit of the value down as a Packer fan for Malik Willis on free agency is, what has he done outside of being in Green Bay in Matt LaFleur's system, right? And that looks bad. It does. And that's where teams will probably – that's the beautiful thing about free agency. If he was on the roster and they were renegotiating Tim, they would go at him with a little bit of that angle, right?
Sure.
But when you hit free agency and you got 5, 6, 7 teams pursuing someone, you don't mention anything negative. You just go, you're the dude. You're the guy we want. You're trying to pitch them, right? You're trying to sell that car. So I like what Joseph says here, Chad Powers. And somebody else, who was it? Chuck.
I saw Shane Falco in there. There it is. Chuck Jaggers. Got to call Shane Falco. Let's go.
Anytime Emilio or anybody else brings up Shane Falco's name, Tim, I always see him running in slow motion on the field with that hair flying. Keanu Reeves, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, dude.
Prime Keanu. Yeah.
The cheerleader girlfriend cheering him on the sideline. God, who is our boy from Hoosiers, the head coach? I'm trying to think of his name.
Gene Hackman. Rest in peace, Gene Hackman.
Yeah.
Legend.
Man, what a great movie. John Madden and Pat Summerall calling the game up in the book. Oh, it's awesome. I'm going to have to go watch that today. So
Love it.
Yeah. I love it. Packer Doug. Hey, it's Falco. Falco's back. There you go. Yeah. Amen. Packer Doug says, Madden, God rest his soul, man. John Madden, everything he did for the game of football. I can't say it enough, man. Cannot say it enough. So with that being said, you guys are watching this video back later. Let us know in the comments. We want to hear from you. How do you feel about the Malik Willis situation? Do you agree with Mina Kimes and how she's very, very high on Malik Willis? Do you think he is the best free agent quarterback in the National Football League going into free agency 2026? We want to hear from you in the comments. Make sure you hit like, subscribe, click the bell icon so you don't miss these live streams anytime we smash that go live button in the future. Tim, you got anything else you want to hit before we wrap up, Bob?
Go Pack, go. Good luck in that preseason game on Sunday. Let's go.
Yeah. There you go. I will be watching. We will be doing a pregame show. We will be doing a postgame show. Again, I just didn't want to waste too much time breaking down the X's and O's of two teams that I don't know what the hell is going to happen, to be honest with you, man. We may not even show anything out there in terms of a scheme to tip our hand on what we want to do the next week. I do like what Steno said today about Jordan Love, where he said, I like the look in Jordan's eyes right now. He's hungry. There's something, I'm telling you, I think in Love's mind, he's going, you know what? It sucks we lost Micah. We've lost all these players, but by God, what if we went on a run, right? What if we all just gave 110% in complete focus in this playoff run? What if we went out there and shocked the freaking world? We've seen them, Tim. This team is electric when they're on. Yeah. It's just the inconsistency of the youngest football team in the National Football League, right? So,
and you talk about going 1-0 every week. That's what the NFL playoffs is all about, man. Win or go home. All you got to do is go 1-0. There's no reason to believe that this team or any team that's made the dance has a chance to go on a run. So I think the biggest victory we can hope for on Sunday is leaving Minneapolis with a victory in the sense of nobody else is on the injury report. You know, if we can get out of there healthy, that's all that matters.
Absolutely. And get some young guys some snaps. I would like to see Trevon Diggs out there playing a little bit and kind of get him familiar with everything, you know.
Little Colin Oliver out there in the mix, maybe.
Yes. So there's going to be plenty of stuff to look for in this game. Don't get me wrong. But again, we'll We'll be giving you guys all the action pregame. But what is today, Tim? Is it Friday? It's Friday, right? Yeah,
Friday.
so we're just a couple days away. So we'll start to break down Packers Vikings as much as we can in the next day or two. But we'll get into that. And then, of course, we'll be bringing you all the action on game day. So, Tim, appreciate you jumping in here on short notice, man.
Yeah, awesome, man. Glad to be here.
All right, we'll see you guys later. Again, make sure you guys hit that like button for us if you're watching live here. Thanks to the chat. You guys were absolutely awesome in here. It was fun talking ball with y'all just on a random Friday afternoon. So make sure you hit like, subscribe, and make sure that bell icon is on so you know when we go live. Appreciate everybody jumping in. Appreciate you, Tim. We'll see y'all either tonight or tomorrow. Got a dinner planned tonight, so it won't be the normal time. But if news breaks here in a little bit, maybe we get an injury report update, I may go live before we head out for dinner. So you guys just keep your eye on the streets for that. We'll see y'all tomorrow for sure, though. My name's Clayton. That's Tim. This is PTA. Go Pack, go.
There we go.
Nice.
Bye, guys.